Hey, Battle Bill here with another video, and today we're going to get into some more Great League Go Battle League battles. Wow, you guys clicked on another Mudboy video. Y'all are some real ones. I really appreciate it. And you know what else I really appreciate? The fact that I just hit 1,000 subscribers. I couldn't have done it without you guys. I just want to give you guys the best possible PvP content, PvP advice, PvP battles I could possibly show you, whether it be Great League, Ultra League, Master League, and you guys have just given me all the love back, and it means so much to me. So what we're going to do right now is we're just going to jump into some more Mudboy battles, because apparently you're not sick of it, because you keep on coming back and watching these battles. I will have a subscriber video out. I think the next one I'm going to do is subscriber. I'm trying to rotate it where if I'm just doing Go Battle League, I'm doing Mudboys, the subscriber team, and then I'm showcasing somebody else's team. So again, hit my Twitter DMs or hit me on Discord somewhere if you want to submit a team or showcase a set of your battles. I would love to show them on my channel too. But let's just jump into this. So we got more Mudboys. We got some really intense rank 8 battles here. Whew, I know everybody's seeing all over Twitter about how much tougher Season 2 is, and that's a whole fact. So, we're getting into this first battle against Gengar 2003, I think that's what it was. I can't sit still, I can't get myself still. And then we run into our first Marowak lead. You know how often I see a Marowak lead? Never. But I know that I lose that, and I know my two Mudboys in the back can handle it, so I immediately swapped. They brought in a Hypno to counter me, and I'm like, great. Hypno is not a counter for my Swampert. They also took an extra second on that swap. And what's important about that is it gets me in an extra mud shot or two, which allows me to then either deal these hydro cannons quicker or start getting their shields. They can do a lot of damage with the confusions. You'll see I'm already in the yellow, but whatever charge move he's going to throw, I'm going to shield it. Ends up being a Thunder Punch, would have been resisted, but Swampert's glassy, and again, the confusions are what I'm worried about. So no matter what's coming out of the Hypno, I'm shielding it because I need switch advantage. I need my Whiscash landing on that Marowak. That hydro cannon gets his shields, and now it's just a race. I like to overfarm, and the main reason why I'll overfarm a little bit is I want to try and trick my opponent into not knowing where my energy is at. I want them to throw that extra confusion thinking they can overfarm, and then I sneak in a second hydro cannon and take them out before they're able to get to the next charge move. It didn't work here. We ended up CMP tying there, or I was like a half turn behind, which is why Hypno got off their Thunder Punch before I got off my hydro cannon, but it's fine. I will get this hydro cannon through, and what I'm about to learn the hard way, because I could have swore as long as I got these hydro cannons off, I'd take out the Hypno, but this doesn't finish off the Hypno. It has that much health left, and he decides to swap. Notice how I'm stuttering. I faced this match again recently, and my opponent brought in, I think, an Azumarill also, but they had a Registeel lead, and I brought in my Whiscash to deal with their Azumarill when I still needed my Whiscash for that Registeel, and it cost me that match. So I took a minute there to really think about it, because I needed to bring in Skarmory so my Whiscash could deal with the Marowak later on. So they land the Hydro Pump. I'm going for the Sky Attack here. We're both down to no shields, and this Azumarill is probably going to commit to the farm down, but they will not be able to commit to the farm down without me getting another Sky Attack off. So that's my plan. I want to get the Sky Attack off. I'm assuming they're going to just try and farm me down, but this will get them really low, and what we're going to actually notice is because of how much damage these Sky Attacks are dealing, that he actually can't commit to the farm down, and he's going to realize this pretty quickly, and he throws his charge move right here, most likely going to be an Ice Beam. I think we've seen both charge moves. I'm pretty sure the other one's Ice Beam. This will take out my Skarmory, but it's fine. The Azumarill has a little bit of residual energy, but it's not completely overfarmed. So I brought in my Swampert, and they go back to the Marowak, and what I should have done there, which almost cost me my match, so I should have just left in Swampert and gone for the Hydro Cannon right away. It would have completely extinguished that Marowak, or would have put it like in the tiniest amount of health. Instead, I bring in my Whiscash, and the Marowak has a little bit of an energy advantage, so he lands that Shadow Ball, and now my goal here is I need to land 2 Mud Bombs on this Marowak to take it out before he can get to another Shadow Ball. So I land 1 Mud Bomb there. I'm pretty close to the next one. I don't even want to land the Bone Club, so I do no over farming here. That's my biggest concern, is my Whiscash taking any extra damage. I know the Hypno is almost done for, but it has enough health to get in confusion, so I can't leave any of my Pokemon out to dry. He brings in his Azumarill right here, and I thought I could beat it to the Mud Bomb. I couldn't, so now I'm not facing the most comfortable situation. Azumarill luckily is in farm range, and that Hypno is literally down to 1 HP, but back to what I said, a confusion would take me out. So I need to commit to that farm down, and if you just saw that, that last mud shot got me the perfect amount of energy for the Hypno to come in and eat this Hydro Cannon in the face. So I kind of made a couple mistakes there. My opponent did too. I'm not really sure. In that In the first matchup between my Hypno and Swampert, I might have been able to mud shot him down, so I guess he already assumed that he didn't have switch advantage, which is why he swapped. And I pulled the smart move, swapping in my Skarmory and not making the mistake and bringing in my Whiscash. But the mistake was when the Marowak came back in, I should have stuck with Swampert and thrown that Hydro Cannon. Either way, worked out. Let's get into match number 2. We're going up against Breezy 2317. And yo, I'm playing these matches and my hands start to sweat. I want to do another video of live battles also. I know I like to throw that into my little like routine of videos. The types of PvP content I put out is subscriber team, Mud Boys, live Mud Boys, and then I shoutcast somebody else's team. But I mean, that's a pretty solid flow, especially if I'm putting out about 5 videos a week. At least I'm kind of changing it up, whereas with the live battles, you know, I try to be funny. I'm not really funny, but I try to be funny. And then with these battles where I pre-recorded them, I give you commentary and as many insights as I can in case, I'm sorry, my nose is itchy, in case you guys try the team and just want to learn from specific situations. Even if you don't try my team, there's a lot of little minor like tips and just tricks and not tricks, but types of ways to play out matchups and farming in different ways and watching your switch timer and little things like that that you could pick up that I would try to point out as letting you know is important for these matches. So this next match is not off to a great start. You saw that Hydro Pump hit my Swampert. Typically I play out that Azumarill lead not differently, I played out that way all the time, but the issue was he baited me and threw an Ice Beam, so I was just like, shoot. I had to bring in Swampert and have to worry about a Hydro Pump, and I got hit by a Hydro Pump. So now my Swampert's down. I got my Skarmory back in here. I'm kind of just making some mistakes. Again, these are very intense. Azumarill is not the worst lead for me, but if an Azumarill is throwing an Ice Beam instead of the Hydro Pump like I want it to, then that does set me back a little bit just to start the match. And now the Altaria's in, and I'm going to go for a Sky Attack here. This ends up... Oh, I forgot that email popped up. I was about to go swipe it up. I forgot that email. I didn't have my phone on Do Not Disturb in the beginning of these battles. Sorry, that just completely distracted me. But anyhow, now I'm going for another Sky Attack here, but we know how this matchup plays out. Skarmory's my best option for Altaria, so I need to make sure I try to keep it as alive as possible, and I also I need to throw as many Sky Attacks and throw as many Air Slashes as possible. Unfortunately, I'm not in the best situation. He shielded the last one, and he's about to throw one right now. That's coming through, and it's going to get me in the red. And he also has a shield, and I cannot commit to the farm down. So I'm just sitting in a poor situation. My opponent played out the Azumarill Altaria on my team perfectly, which I'm not used to. Usually somebody would switch, or usually the Azumarill's throwing their Hydro Pump, or usually just the situations play a little bit differently. But this person used those two Pokemon as perfectly as they could. I'm repeating myself, but they used them as perfectly as they could against my team, and the two of them essentially took out my entire team without any help from their third Pokemon, which we will find out what it is in a second, because I'm just barely able to take down the Altaria. Actually, I don't even take it down. He swaps in a Hypno. I was going to commit to the farm down, but even the Dragon Breaths would have had me. And at this point, I think I was just so frustrated. I was just like, no, I'm doing some damage to you. I'm making this look closer, even though I have zero chance of pulling out this match. So I'm throwing this Blizzard at your Hypno, and that didn't do anything. So it's just like, okay, GG, confusion me down. Sometimes I sit there and like when I have a win against an opponent, I'll be like, yo, what, dude, just stop. In this situation, I should have been like, just stop. I should have thrown that Blizzard. It was just a waste of both of our time. Alright, getting into battle number 3 of the set. We're going up against Vasil's Pole. I butchered that. But anyhow, I got a nice Skarmory on Shadow Victory Bell lead. So now here's the thing about Mud Boys. Usually you'd think you love winning lead, but what becomes super important is this next matchup with Swampert on Defense Deoxys. Yeah, it's great, but honestly, me winning lead against a Victory Bell is, I don't want to say the same thing. Kind of similar to me losing lead against a Registeel, because the rest of the match depends on this next matchup. When I swap or they swap, it ends up being Swampert against whatever their switch-in is, which in this case is Defense Deoxys. And if I win out switch advantage, then I'm going to win the match no matter what the lead was. And if I lose switch advantage, whether I had it or not, I'm going to lose this matchup no matter what the lead was. So yeah, it's great to see a Shadow Victory Bell, but if I let this Defense Deoxys take down my Swampert, that Victory Bell is going to be lined up against my Whiscash, and my Whiscash is going to drop down in about 3 seconds from Razor Leafs. So I definitely need to win this matchup here, and this has actually been a team that I've been seeing a lot of, and I remember Toshi mentioned it on Twitter, I think literally earlier today, who created this team of Shadow Victory Bell, Defense Deoxys, and the third Pokemon is going to end up being Bastiodon. And this is not the first time I've seen this team. I love seeing this team, because just like I did now, I usually win Switch Advantage back. Hydro Cannon took out Defense Deoxys, Victory Bell can come in, throw its Razor Leaf, shred my Swampert, be my guest. Skarmory's, I'm sorry about this. Sorry about all the little gas I'm having. Skarmory came back in for the Victory Bell, and then I got a Whiscash sitting in the back ready to wall the wall himself. So it's cool. Run this team. Make it popular. I want to see it everywhere, because it is a team my Double Mudboys can definitely beat. So whoever created this team, thank you. I appreciate you, and I want to see this team more and more. Don't bring Ferrothorns around, or Alolan Raichus. I don't want to see those. Show me these teams. But anyhow, this matchup, honestly, I mean, again, when I say like I've got a win locked up, it's not me being overconfident, because like that last match, I clearly had a loss locked up, and I knew it. I knew it once that Altaria wouldn't go down, and I could admit it. I threw that Blizzard just out of being bitter, but in this situation, I got a win locked up. My Whiscash is beating that Bastion no matter what. My opponent's going to bring in their Victory Bell. Honestly, I probably shouldn't have even thrown this Mud Bomb. It would have probably saved us time if I let him shred my Whiscash down, but I think he also realizes he lost, which is why he didn't even waste his time shielding that. And then my Skarmory is just going to come in, and just to save us time, I'm not going to throw a Sky Attack because he's got the shield. I can commit to this farm down. Victory Bell literally can't do anything against me. And this ends up being GG. And after 3 matches, I'm sitting at 2-1. And those were intense battles. I know that one I won pretty easily, but again, it fell so... I can't speak English. It came down to that swap. Like, whatever he swapped in ends up determining the match. So just because it worked out nicely, it could have been completely flipped. If he would have had something that had a better matchup against my Swampert, what looked like an easy win could have been a very easy loss for me. So let's get into this 4th match, going up against Magimiko, and I got a Skarmory against an Altaria lead. This is probably the one Pokemon, not the one Pokemon, because I said Ferrothorn, but this is the one that's just the most annoying because I see it more. Ferrothorn I don't see as often in the lead position. Altaria I see all the time, and I'm so sick of it. I love when people swap out their Altarias like that because it helps me, because I cannot commit to that Skarmory on Altaria matchup, and they might not know that, and I think Skarmory wins that matchup by like a tiny bit. So I have noticed people swapping out their Altarias against my Skarmorys, so like I'm just like all for it, please do. And now this matchup doesn't necessarily come down to me getting switch advantage, because I still want my Skarmory to line up with that Altaria. What it comes down to is me landing a Sludge Wave so that this Azumarill isn't too much of a problem. I throw it right there, I take it out. I try to stick with like a consistent plan, but when I get consistent about how I want to bait and how I don't want to bait, then I end up getting shielded a bunch. And then when I just get really sporadic with it is when I end up landing the Sludge Wave. So sometimes I'll bait, sometimes I'll throw a Sludge Wave right away. Whatever works. I took out the Azumarill. I'm feeling good about it. He does have a 2 shields to 1 shield advantage on me, and I'm definitely not going to use my other shields here because the Sky Attack won't take out my Swampert, and I will be able to get to a Hydro Cannon. What I could have done if I really wanted to was... that must have been another match. I completely lied. I was not able to get to a Hydro Cannon. I could have shielded that and gotten to a Sludge Wave, and that might have drawn a shield, but then I would have gotten farmed down more, and I'd rather the Sky Attack take out my Swampert and the Altaria have minimal energy. My opponent swaps in a Registeel, and I'm like, wow, this team is lining up very nicely. I usually despise the Azumarill Altaria Regicore, but if my opponent that's running that core wants to play it like this, I am all for it. You lined up your Azumarill with my Swampert, and I landed a Sludge Wave. You lined up your Registeel with my Whiscash, which I'm throwing Mud Bombs at, and you're using shields. I think that was my opponent's biggest mistake here, was shielding their Registeel. They probably should have just sacked it, did as much damage as they could with it, farmed down my Whiscash with their Altaria, and then had their Altaria with 2 shields against my Skarmory with no shields essentially, and he probably could have won out this match. That's the other thing about this core, is like I obviously see it all over the place, and I can beat it, but it really depends on what lines up. Like I need everything to line up like this, and if it doesn't, I'm losing to this core. It's very frustrating because you see it all over the place in Great League. You see Registeel and Azumarill literally everywhere, and one of the most common third Pokemons I'm seeing are either Altaria or Haunter. But regardless, my opponent pulls a switch here. I kind of expected it, which is why my swap came in so quick. So I was able to bring in my Skarmory so that Whiscash didn't have to worry about taking any Sky Attack damage. And because of that, we got a little lag there, but because of that, now my Skarmory can essentially take down the Altaria enough, or might take it down completely, where everything's lined up perfectly and I have no worries about winning this match. Plus, because of the 2 swaps, what my opponents usually love to do in this situation is they love to try and catch sky attacks. Notice throughout this entire match, the first swap I didn't have to play as cautiously because it did it almost right away, but I didn't throw a single sky attack at anything other than the Altaria, and that also helped. If one of my sky attacks goes to the Azumarill or the Registeel, that also could completely flip this match. So my opponent throws a Flash Cannon here. I'm bringing in my Whiscash, and I'm going to get to this Mud Bomb way before they get to another charge move, and this will win me the match. And we will now be 3-1 for the set, right? Yeah, this was a 4th battle. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. You'll see my rating. This is where I was today on leaderboards. This ended up being like my last good set of the day. Then I had 2 more where I couldn't catch a break, whether it be leads or tiny bit of lag or just getting outplayed, things along those lines. And I did happen to drop from where this rating is, but not too much. I'm still sitting at like that 2400 mark. I've been hovering around there. I really want to make a push and get into that top higher echelon on the leaderboards, because if you notice, it's slowly getting higher and higher, which I find interesting and exciting because it became a race to rank 9, and then obviously it's going to become a race to rank 10 afterwards. And if you check the leaderboards literally every day, the lowest person on the leaderboard is getting a little bit higher, and the highest person on the leaderboard is getting a little bit higher also. So it's like, it's just a fun race that I am really enjoying being a part of. So let's get into this 5th match. My opponent's going for their charge move. I am 100% under every circumstance. Is that the right way to say that? Shielding it. Ends up being an Ice Beam. Not what I want to see. But I go for the immediate swap, and I think, is this the match? Yeah. My opponent makes a mistake and swaps immediately. What they could have really done here that would have hurt me was leaving their Zoomer a little bit more, farm up a bunch, and then bring in Meganium, because Meganium's going to completely wall my Swampert. But now that Azumarill has a lot less energy, this Sludge Wave also lands, which is pretty big for me. Skarmory's going to come and wall the Meganium also, which is why they didn't shield, because if they do shield it, then they just become more energy for my Skarmory. But I don't mind them not shielding it either, because then I don't have to worry about my Skarmory going down, and then the Meganium possibly landing on the Whiscash. I wait out the switch timer as long as possible, and I know I have a bunch left, and the Meganium's practically done for. I go in, get 1 Air Slash, which ends up being a little bit of extra energy, and that benefits me because Azumarill didn't stay in that long after the swap, so the Azumarill couldn't get a little bit of extra energy. So I go for the Sky Attack. They do have a shield advantage, so I'm hoping to either grab the shield or put the Azumarill in the red here. I get the shield, that's totally fine. And now I'm just going to continue to Air Slash at it. I don't remember what I decided to do here. I think I expected a Hydro Pump and I decided not to shield because I didn't know what they had in the back. Yeah, it ends up being a Hydro Pump that lands, gets me low, and then I swap to Whiscash. I would have pulled up my swap earlier, but if it was an Ice Beam, I was going to stay in with the Skarmory. And here ends up being a very tricky situation. 1 shield, and my Whiscash is a tiny energy lead there, and I decide, you know what, I'm just going to pull a Zionic, and I'm going to risk it for the biscuit, and throw my Blizzard right away, and they did not expect that. That just completely ended this match. Honestly, when they have 1 shield, the main thing you expect from a Whiscash like that is to bait, so sometimes, you know, you got to go against that grain. If the bait's expected, then sometimes you got to do the opposite, even though going for the Blizzard seems obvious. I could have probably afforded to go for 2 because I had a shield and I had that slight energy advantage. So I was like, you know what? I don't mind risking it like that, and it paid off. So the Azumarill doesn't have a chance here. I'm just going to commit to the farm down. We get like the slightest like in-game lag, and then we just continue throwing quick moves, and I'm able to mud shot it down. And those were crazy. I couldn't believe when that Blizzard hit. I was so hyped. I just couldn't believe that. Yeah, I really couldn't believe when that Blizzard hit, and I was just super thankful for it. I went 4-1. This jumped me up to like 27-35. I think you'll see it on screen somewhere. I don't know where the heck I'm pointing. I'm so not used to being on camera. But anyhow, it jumped me up that high. I had a couple poor sets afterwards, so I'm sitting around like 2400 right now. But again, that's still good enough to keep me on the lower part of the leaderboard. I'm just waiting to have like a day where, you know, I just really go off. But that was definitely a solid set where I went off. I just want to, like, you know, have all my sets be like that. But what can you do? You're going to win some matches. You're going to lose some matches. The important thing that I want to stress, and I feel like I've been seeing this all over Twitter as everybody's been struggling, is just like tomorrow's a new day. You have 5 sets, and all 5 sets go poorly. You get 5 new fresh sets tomorrow. Don't take that anger in. I do that a lot. Honestly, I'll lose a match, whether it be Niantic's fault, whether it be my fault, whether it just be my opponent outplaying me. Actually, no. Usually I don't get mad when my opponent outplays me. sometimes I'm thinking to myself, what the heck could I have done differently? Unless it was just like an obvious mistake that I realized. But it's just like, it's super hard to go match to match and not think about the previous one. But I need to work on that, and if you're really getting caught up with these battles, I definitely recommend just maybe taking a break. Like, even if you're in the middle of a set, don't complete the set. If you feel like you're that aggravated, it's only going to make the rest of your matches go worse. So, I mean, again, what does my opinion matter? But just throwing out some hopefully helpful advice. I just want to repeat how much I appreciate you guys for hitting... I just want to repeat how much I appreciate you guys for me hitting 1,000 subscribers. It really means a lot, and I want to also stress how much I appreciate you guys for constantly watching these Mudboy videos. I know I've done a bunch of them right now. I want to give you guys diverse content, but Mudboys is my team. It's a team that I feel like for now is what's going to take me to the top of the leaderboard. Right now I'm at the lower part, but I want to continue my climb. There's a lot of great PvPers up there. The other thing I want to stress is, yes, I went 4-1 in this set, but I also had 2 losing sets right after. The losses happen. I definitely want to do maybe my next Mudboy video on like a poor set that I had, because you can still make leaderboards even if you lost a few. So don't let a bad set get to you. I'm just repeating what I said earlier. It happens to the best PvPers. I remember FP Sticks just tweeted about it, so just keep that in mind. Other than that, thank you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.